England are probably, despite being sitting in second at the moment in as far as the table is concerned, England are probably favourites to take this championship, given all the permutations that could happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And this game is going to be a big one for them.
Yeah, this is where the fun really does begin. Yeah, it's taking place Saturday, obviously, Super Saturday, 4:45. That's British time. 5:45, 5:45, Italian time. This is in the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, to be refereed by Pascal Gozer. And by contrast to the iffy weather forecast conditions that are going to be taking place in Wales, Ireland and France have no such luck. It is to be 22 degrees
or Italy,
and sunny.
and England, you mean?
I mean Ireland.
Oh,
France.
Yeah.
No such luck. We would have been hoping for a deluge, a beyond, an apocalyptic style shower. With wind and horrors and scorekeepy downiness. We have no such luck. It's to be perfect conditions in Rome, 22 degrees Celsius. With sunny, grand,
very little
running
wind.
rugby weather.
Lots of tries
for England against the Italians. Here's the context. This is where it gets fun, because all the permutations and all the things you would associate in times gone by with the last weekend of the Six Nations are coming to the fore here again. England obviously in a very strong position to claim the title. They're second in the table, level on points with France, who are beneath them by literally 2 points, 2 in-match points in terms of their points difference, and they are 1 point behind Ireland. And the interesting thing here is obviously they need a bonus point victory first and foremost to move 4 clear of Ireland and 5 clear of France. They're behind Ireland at the moment by 23 in terms of points difference.
Yes.
So every point over 23 that they beat Italy by is an extra point that Ireland have to beat France by.
Yes.
Assuming Ireland don't get the bonus point. Obviously England can't do anything about that.
Yes.
But that is the dynamic going on here, and it's understandable, but it does tend to get very dramatic in these mad points difference permutations.
Well, like Italy have shown a capacity to score some tries in recent times, so like if.
Well, they scored 0 in 2 of their 4 games.
Recent times. Last week, Garbisi with a bit of footwork, and a young man took a nice try at the end, which did cost Ireland as far as points difference, but forces their hand in terms of 4 tries. Now, England, typically you would back to put a massive score on Italy. England's still the only team in the Six Nations that Italy have never beaten. And I expect that to continue.
Well, the other dynamic that's going on here as well is that France, who would be favoured to beat Ireland later on, would have to beat Ireland to win the Six Nations by more than England beat Italy. In fact, 2 points more than England beat Italy. So England will have that going on in their back of their minds, as well as the 23-point margin with Ireland. So they would know, if we can get 50 or 60 here, we're going to put this tournament pretty much to bed, assuming Ireland don't get the bonus point win, which seems like probably a fair assumption, but let's hope not.
Let's hope it's not. They can't afford to assume that way, so they will be trying to do everything they can.
They can't do anything about an Ireland bonus point win, but they can do everything about anything else, if that makes sense. They can rack up a phenomenal score and put France out of the picture, and put an Ireland, anything other than an Ireland bonus point win, out of the picture in terms of stopping them.
I expect them to not be kicking threes at all. Something in the English psyche does serve them well when they are the superior team and they know they're the superior team. They tend to just turn up and score a load of tries. Whereas this is something that Ireland struggle with, Wales have struggled with before, Scotland definitely have struggled with.
France have lost twice to Italy.
France have lost twice to Italy as well. But going into the game as massive favourites, expected to score a load of tries. Loads of teams can struggle with that setting, but England are not one of them. England tend to just score. Yes.
From Italy's point of view, going into this one, obviously, like you were talking about, some shoots of optimism. From my point of view, it's been all very dreadful.
It has
another
been.
step backwards from Italy. Scoring 0 in 2 games, defensively very, very frail. Missed tackles and bad shapes. Having some decent shape on offense and some good impetus to go wide, but having the skills let them down more often than not.
That's true.
Garbisi coming in at 10 is a shoot of optimism. He's a new out half, which is good to see. They have a 10-12 axis going at
Carlo
10
Canna has impressed me from 12 anyway, in terms of being, he's quite a slight guy, but he actually does okay in the physicality stakes. He's not the worst defender as far as their missed tackle game is concerned.
How many tries did they get against Ireland last week? 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the very beginning of the game, Carlo Canna put a lovely pass in against Ireland, and they went straight up all the way to the Irish line. Conor Murray cynically comes in at the side, plays the ball, whistle, penalty and yellow card,
and
Italy kicked 3,
which was one of the most criminal decisions of the whole tournament.
They could have got close to 4 tries. They should always be going for 4 tries.
That's exactly right. It's my prevailing principle that, like, as much as like what we were saying about England being the superior team and needing to score tries, so they need to go for it. Italy are basically a de facto tier 2 team, even though they're not, but they're a tier 2 team in a tier 1 competition.
They're a tier 2 team. They're as tier 2 as a tier 2 team ever tier 2'd.
But they're going into a game as massive underdogs, and it is one of the bones of contention I have. Certainly as a Leinster fan, I see it all the time down the RDS. Zebra come down, get a decent bit of offence off in the first 10 minutes and kick 3 points, and you're like, why? You are going to have a grand total of 3 chances in this whole game. They have to be tries, and then maybe you can pick off an intercept and get yourself a 4-try bonus point, which is a league point. Like, you're going to lose the game.
Like from an Italian point of view, especially the way they're defending at the moment, it's just not reasonable to hope that your 3 points is going to mean anything in terms of, like, we're going to win this game 16-10.
All it does is scrub out the nil. All it does is scrub out the nil. It's a terrible,
granted, they have conceded a nil twice so far this season, but 3s are no better than nils.
3s are no better. They aren't. They just aren't. Like, they are still sitting on 0 points in the Six Nations table,
averaging a 26-point defeat every game, and everybody else has positive points difference on account of their game against Italy.
Yes, exactly. Like, it's surely that state of affairs all leads to, let's just ban 3-pointers. Let's not go for any of them. Kick the corner off every penalty. Try to get an offensive set to work, because
the longer you spend up the other end of the field, is the longer you're not conceding as well. You're controlling the ball and controlling the game. That certainly would be a message in terms of Italy going forward. In terms of the squads, looking at Italy, there's some notables. We've talked about some of them already in terms of to watch out for. Their captain Luca Bihi at hooker is a decent player. Obviously their back row would be their main weapon with Negri and Stain and Pelledri. That's obviously massive. And then that 10-12 axis of Garbisi and Canna is always exciting. And Matteo Minozzi coming back into the side
returns from Wasps is good as well, so he'll partner Hayward and Bellini as well. The potential for throwing the ball around with all of that, considering the 10-12 axis and all of that, but I expect them to be just thoroughly outmatched by the England side. And looking at the England side that's named, a few little interesting ones, but just to go through it, we have Mako, George, Sinclair, the tried and true front row, so big, gonna fancy their chances at every scrum. Itoje and Hill, Johnny Hill straight in, has been very impressive this season. Good to see him get rewarded with a cap in this season as well. He's straight in from after the Premiership final. Curry, Underhill, Billy, Vunipola, a very settled, very dangerous turnover machine.
No sign of Jack Willis coming in, but sure look.
No, it's very tough to get in. There's so much depth that England have at the back row that, like, they could pick literally 3 or 4 different test level back row combinations. And then Ben Youngs is going to become a Centurion. He's set to make his 100th appearance or 100th cap for England. He's had
ups and downs, but
he's been a stalwart for England. Really, he definitely has. Yeah. And then Farrell, Slade, Joseph in terms of the 3-quarter line and centres. It's an interesting. Obviously, Tuilagi has been ruled out due to an injury picked up in the Premiership. But Slade at 12 with Joseph outside him is an interesting way to go. It's a new look for England.
Eddie Jones, obviously, in his core, I think, does like the idea of 10-12 being distributory and 13 being sort of more of a strike runner. It does miss heft, on both sides of the ball. It's missing Tuilagi's heft.
Yeah, well, Joseph is certainly no Tuilagi. It's definitely speedy. And you got to think, you don't need that much heft against Italy. Italy just soft out of tackles too often, so it could be a good day out for Joseph. And in the back 3 you have May and Watson on either wing, and Furbank comes into the team. Comes into the test team.
Has Furbank played a full test yet? Maybe
I don't know if he has. He's been in the squad for the last year and a bit.
I remember seeing him play against the Barbarians at one point anyway, but a fully capped match, I don't know.
Not sure, but here he is anyway. So that is the starters, and then on the bench you have Tom Dunn, Ellis Genge, Will Stewart, Ewells in big hefty lock, Ben Earl in as well, and then Robson in as cover at the halfback, Ollie Lawrence and Ollie Thorley. A tale of two Ollies on the bench.
Yeah, Ollie Lawrence is an interesting one in there. I'm not sure what the situation is with George Ford, but decent opportunity for the Worcester man.
Yes, indeed. And Ollie Thorley as well, an excitement machine. You've been calling for him for a while. It'll be nice to see him come in against some Italians.
I wouldn't have minded seeing him start. Maybe you could have had Watson fullback and Thorley in, but you're looking, I'll settle for 23. He's going to come on and perhaps be a serious impact.
Tired Italy and smash into them.
When England are looking to add to their scores as well, you know, it's all got a very ugly picture for from an Italian point of view. In terms of the Italian point of view, in terms of what Italy need to do to win the game, when they have the ball, first of all, pray.
Sacrifice a chicken or two. I don't know.
Yeah, you need more than a chicken.
A virgin. No, I don't know if there's any hope for any of it.
No. I mean, listen, they could always have Garbisi do that sort of, you know, step and swivel and dummy thing that he did against Ireland last week.
That was a good try, well taken by a young man. I'm excited about Garbisi, and in fact, I'm excited about Italy's capacity with Carlo Canna in there. It's optimistic, if nothing else, to be dual distributing, trying to throw the ball around.
With it, yeah.
Like compared to several years ago, before Conor O'Shea even came in, and they literally couldn't pass from one side of the pitch to the other without dropping the ball. Yeah. They've improved in that area. There's no doubt about that. And they were a little unlucky in the World Cup in that they didn't get their chance to go against the All Blacks and didn't get Parise's last game and send off and all that. But they have improved, no doubt. And the World Cup pool didn't really reflect that because they were comprehensively better than the two Tier 2 teams and comprehensively bested by the two Tier 1 teams.
No question. They didn't get to see a test. I wonder though, has their passing game and their attacking chops not dipped a little bit? Even
Maybe.
Since
there was certainly looseness in the Ireland one. There were a few instances where they did create a bit of space and there was a chance to use it, but it was 2 or 3 slack passes that cost them it, and it ends up being a Pelledri carry instead of an overlap or something. You know,
they have a decent habit. I was watching the Ireland-Italy game last week with a mind, first of all, from an Ireland point of view, with my selfish hat on, going like, can we get, you know, ruck 2 passes or more and then another ruck?
Yeah.
And it was depressing how few occasions Ireland did that.
Yes.
But actually Italy, by contrast, seemed to be dialed in that way, in the sense that they were always, it's something we talk about in an amateur rugby context, you know, just moving the ball, you know, 2 passes before a contact, let's get that dialed in. And Italy seemed to have that dialed in a little bit, but then some of the quality of the passing was really desperate. And that was it was checking their runs, and it was preventing them from gaining access to the wide channels.
Even when there was space, sometimes they managed to move it enough such that the defence had buckled and then just couldn't execute.
Well, here's the thing, and I bring this point up in with a few teams, but I think it's definitely important in an Italian context. You know, they've got Monsieur Canna there. Monsieur, I'm sure it's not Signor, I don't know what it is in Italian, but they have Canna in there and they have Garbisi coming into the team. They've gone with the dual distributor thing. Where's the boot of these guys in general play? Where are the little chips? Where are the checking of the defensive line? Where's the kicks in behind to the corner? Where's the territory game? That's Italy's kicking game, and so many of the Tier 2 teams, it's the same. You know, this is why I love watching some of the South American stuff and all the mad ways they find to kick the ball and get down the field.
Yes.
There's so little creativity in it. You've got 2 halfbacks. You don't need to be bombing the ball into the air exactly how England expect you to be doing.
Yes.
You need to move them around a little bit, isolate one of their back 3 getting out of position and put in an accurate kick, and then get yourselves on top of the territory game, force them to exit, have that be the picture.
That's a great plan.
It's such a weapon. It's a weapon in any team's arsenal. Kick the ball.
Telling you now, midfield, Negri carry, Pelledri carry, Stain carry, Caterpillar ruck, box kick, coming right
dreadful.
up.
It's dreadful. You know exactly what to expect.
Like,
that's the thing, is go wide, and then trust these guys. You've got a young 10 and a young 12. Both of them have a decent kicking game. They've made their names kicking. Carlo Canna was never a 12 until this season. He's a 10 by trade.
And quite a kicking heavy 10. Certainly Zebra kick away. Probably too much ball in a Zebra shirt with him. But
I don't mean bombs into the sky, but from 10 jazz hands as a solution in terms of creativity either. You know, I mean move it wide, maybe kick it off second pass as opposed to first pass.
Well, England are going to be getting up in their face. There probably will be a bit of space in behind for the deft little chips and stuff if they can start working.
I really think like the Rog kicks, the old maybe 50-22 if it came in would bring it back into the game, but I think it's such a missing element at the moment. Getting the ball, especially from Tier 2 sides, like focusing on getting the ball deep into your opponent's half and accurately
finding grass,
getting it towards the touchline and finding grass and forcing them to exit, because they're just going to be ready for the box kicks. They're not going to work. Box kicks won't work. Not against England.
They're too good. They're too good. He's just going to take it and run back at you.
Yeah.
And that's where English tries come from. England are going to gobble it up all day. Like, as much as like Furbank's fresh in there, you want to test him, but not like test. There's a difference between wanting to test him and just kicking the ball up to him. That's not a test. A test is like what England did to the out of position Robbie Henshaw. Actually, from our point of view, he was thrust in at fullback in World Cup year in the first game, and England isolated it and moved him attacking kick this way, then that way, find grass with everyone,
England
run him around.
Eddie Jones's England have been the best kicking team and the most creative kicking team in World Rugby, and it got them very, very far.
It got them close to the World Cup. They got them to the final and more. Yeah, certainly their restart innovation we were citing in the previous preview about just kicking deep and forcing them to kick out on or at around the 10 metre, create that offensive platform. Yeah, England will be testing their back three as well with some attacking kicks, but I'd say only partially and only in the first half. I think by the end England will probably be happy to run it back to them. But from Italy's point of view, you want to obviously get your big ball carriers on. You do want Bram Stein to have a big game. He probably owes them one after last week. He was a bit poor. But
also, one of the things I have liked seeing Negris and Pelledri's popping up on the wing. We talked about it in the Scottish context as well. Like, as good as Bram Stein is, he doesn't need to be running into Underhill all day. He needs to be on the wing, linking up with Minotzis and Haywards and trying to get his guys in space. And I definitely think Italy, that is something that earnestly Italy have tried to work in, and it'll just depend on the quality and the crispness of their passing, which was missing last week. But listen, they've got clear-cut conditions. They will have big Englishmen in their face, but in terms of weather, then there shouldn't be an issue playing, fast rugby on a dry track.
Yeah, exactly. And then with Minozzi back in, Hayward still in, there's wide men out there. There's potential all over this Italy team. It's got to be go for tries, and it's, as you say, the kicking game will be a factor in that. Try and mix it up. But then when they're without the ball, which is a bit more of an
uglier picture.
This is where
it's a hard one to sell. Italy are going to stop England.
Italy aren't going to stop England, but they need to focus on their tackle technique, because certainly we were seeing some by the end of the Ireland game their defensive system was broken, but certainly at the beginnings of games, their defensive system doesn't have a chance to get buckled before they miss a tackle. So it's you don't even know, from a defence coach's point of view, you don't even know if your shape is working or your press is working or not before they just miss a tackle. So the defence, it's broken anyway when you miss a tackle. So it's got to be first up, tackling has to be the focus for them. They 100%. All have to go low. They are smaller man for man than them. Unless you're Bram Stein in the contact, don't go high at all. Go low, chop them, put them to deck. Put the runner to deck. That's got to be the focus. First, second, third port of call when they don't have the ball.
Exactly. It's something that should be drilled into them in terms of stopping England. But that said, what England do bring in terms of offence is not just heft. They do have a particularly hefty tight five on the pitch this week. But they got Farrell and Slade as dual distributors.
They're going to
expect
sit
them to be
deep. You'll have Joseph running from deep, and it'll be very tough to bring a press.
It's absolutely pointless telling an Italian defence to get into Farrell's face, because he is going to be, as you say, they're going to be sitting deep and just moving it wide. So tight drifts, and you want to talk about where they struggle in the tackle. It's when they have to tackle and there's 5 metres of space either side of them without another defender. And it's those one-on-one situations where they do really struggle. Yeah,
that's where the misses come from. So and England will know that. That'll be where they're trying to target them. So I would hope it has been a focus for them. But then, Minozzi and Hayward are a bit... certainly Hayward he's been great for them, but he had a very soft contribution for one of Ireland's tries last week.
He did, Put your shoulder in, man.
None of them do. It's very army tackles from small men. Small men need to put their shoulder in. And it's not like they can't. Certainly in our Leinster heads, Luke McGrath's a tiny fella. He puts his body about in terms of throwing his shoulder in and all this. It would be nice to see improvements in that area. It would be lovely to see each one of the back three make a good one-on-one tackle, a good hit in the wide channels when there's space.
It's slowing England up in all kinds of ways. It's all they can hope for. If they play the game of their lives, they can make a game of it, and that's got to be the hope. It's going to take some clutch steals as well. I think if any scenario in which Italy put up any kind of fight is going to involve English runners, getting a little headstrong and a little isolated, trying to finish tries and maybe being a little impatient.
White line fever from England could play them into the game, but it's got to be coupled with that defensive bite in terms of their one-up tackles, accurate kicking game in terms of asking questions, and then just going for tries as well. The big headline point as well. Don't miss tackles, but also go for tries. Even though you're at home, you're comprehensively outmatched. You're outgunned. You need to make every little foray you have into their half needs to result in a 7-pointer before you have any chance.
Not only result in a 7-pointer, but if you get a penalty as well, the opportunity to spend minutes down there and frustrate England, and especially an England team that knows that they have to go for tries. There's a capacity if they can step up in that opening 20 or 30 minutes for perhaps England to lose their patience. We'll pivot to England and talk about them. They shouldn't lose their patience. No. They're a better team. But if they do, which they can be prone to, and they do silly things, that's a way for Italy to be played into the game.
Exactly, yeah. Just a brief look at the set piece. Obviously, from Italy's point of view, Brownstein is a good line-out poacher himself. Yeah. England do have options. I'd expect they'll try and recognise that and not throw to two.
It's interesting that exactly. Well, Brownstein is a number 2 kind of stealer, but he does have a very good read on the line out, and from an Italian point of view, England have gone with heft for like all over that team. Johnny Hill, what a colossus as well. Curry's decent at line out time, but it's by no means his area of expertise. So they really have one big line out jumper, and that's Itoje, and I assume he's going to be calling them, and I imagine they'll be a bit creative and call some to Underhill maybe or something like that. But certainly from Bramstein's point of view, marking Itoje...
I kind of expect him to steal one. I would expect him to spoil at least one line out for England.
Big South African paw there.
He's very, very good at it. He's very good at it. Like a Peter O'Mahony for us. He's kind of expert jumper at 2, and certainly a slack throw can be punished. Scrum time.
It looks like England, in their terms of their selection, have almost sacrificed a bit of line out impetus to just pick an absolutely monstrous
scrum a penalty. And every penalty a try.
Who's the ref, actually? We talked at the top of the show who the ref is, because that's effective. Gozair. Interesting. Is Gozair going to give England their rewards? He's more likely than some to give them their rewards. They wouldn't want Nigel Owens.
He does actually ref the scrum, Gozair. To his credit, he does eyeball the props.
Mako, George, Sinclair, Itoje, Hill. That's the type 5. With Genge to come on, and I know Dunn and Will Stewart are a little green still, but Ewell's even in the tight.
Ewell's a big hefty
yoke, is big.
Yeah,
Italy are going to really have to do a serious job to lock down that scrum.
They're going to struggle with it from minute 1. So don't drop the ball. Try not to play them into the game. Try and minimise scrums. As you say, perfect rugby conditions. Hopefully the ball won't spend too much time being dropped, and then we won't have many scrums. But from England's point of view, then when they have the ball, as we said, be patient. Be patient, be physical. You will get your scores.
Exactly.
Don't necessarily be trying to rush it. Just
no, exactly. Even if things haven't gone to plan, like the biggest thing for England is not to compound mistakes, because they know, and we all know, how much better man for man they are than Italy. So from their point of view, in terms of racking up a score, listen, they like to start fat. They like to start like a house on fire, and I expect them to try doing that. Like if they open the game with a restart, I expect them to put the Italians under all kinds of pressure, and then maybe get an attacking set and score a try. That's obviously plan A.
It is.
But one of the only ways this game could go wrong for England is if they don't manage to execute in that first 20 minutes, and they're a little bit sloppy, and Italy are playing well, and then they panic. And if they panic and then start doing stupid things, and the likes of Kyle Sinclair lose the head and start punching people, that's the stupid shit that they don't need.
Exactly.
What they need is to just calm down. Even if it's 0-0 at half time, I'd back them to put 60 on them.
The second they know, that's the point. Like, patient rugby is all you can play. Patient physical rugby, because you know the last quarter is going to be floodgates opened. England are going to run in tries, so just be expecting that. Try and play yourself into the game patiently. Trust, like with Owen Farrell and Slade there as an axis, those are two assured heads, and Slade playing some scintillating rugby for Exeter. He's been their key playmaker from 13, so now he's a little closer to the action. And then with Centenary at scrum half as well, there's a lot of like nous and experience in that 3/4 line, enough that you'd think they should be exercising control. They should be moving the ball. They'll be deep. They will be running on hard lines from deep to test those wide men.
The only area of concern when they have the ball, obviously apart from basic errors like drops and lack of focus like that, it's just to run good support lines and be there in the offensive ruck. Italy will have guys who go for jackals. They arguably go for them too much because they know how bad their defense is. They're often
think
committing
every ruck needs to be a turnover or a steal or something, or else it will will be a try.
So England need to hyper focus on protecting the ball around that contact area, and then just run it through phases and do it patiently, because it doesn't take many phases for the Italian defence to give up scores.
I think they'll also England will be bullish enough to do things like run at Bramstein, run at Negri, run at Pellegrini, occupy them in a defensive capacity by making big hits against two latched massive guys, and then go out wide, because like if you can get it out that far, Minozzi's going to miss the tackle, or Hayward's going to miss the tackle, and like if he doesn't have a Stain or a Pellegrini to bail
Watson
him out,
lined up 1-on-1 against a Minozzi or even a Padovani, like that's or Bellini even, that's just
it's try time.
That's try time. Those guys can't tackle really.
So I think they will, and I think in the multi-phase they will be targeting their key men. They'll recognise that Italy's back row is actually pretty good, because this is something Ireland did as well, is just run into them the whole time, and then they'll be less effective on the other side of the ball.
As much as we admire the Bramsteins and all, they'll have their hands absolutely full if they have Billy Vunipolas and Tom Curry's coming down the channel all day.
Exactly, and England will be aware of that. And then just be ruthless is
exactly, and then the tries will come then in the last 20 minutes.
Patient, ruthless, and the last quarter will be all theirs, and they with half a mind on the scoreline they need to have, but only half a mind. Don't let it distract or kind of get too much of a fog, especially if the first quarter hasn't gone their way. But then the more likely thing is that the first quarter will go their way, and they'll just rack up the score. When they don't have the ball, then in terms of a defensive output, it's pretty straightforward to be honest.
Maintaining discipline is key, obviously. Just not giving Italy soft ins to the game, stupid penalties, high tackles, that kind of shit, that kind of stuff shouldn't stand. You have two pacey open sides, and you have a very green 10 for Italy, so I'd expect a lot of pressure. I would expect definitely getting in Garbisi's face and giving him not the kind of room to do his little swerve and dummy thing that he had going on. Just giving him no room at all would be definitely something that I'd look at if I was in an England shirt. If I was feeling mean and I was Eddie Jones as well, I'd be encouraging. Because Slade is actually a ferocious defender and he's in at 12. I would expecting them to delve out some punishment to Carlo Canna if he thinks he's going to plough it up, Jamie Roberts style, and go forward yards and present the ball back. I would expect England to meet that play, because they've been running it every game. I would expect England to meet that ferociously if they try it. If they try and just give the ball to Canna for a soft hit up in the midfield, I expect them to absolutely leather him.
Yes. But that being said, Canna's a bit short, and Faz, wrap.
Well, wrap your arms. Wrap your arms.
Just wrap, get low and wrap. Those kind of things. They're only Italians. You can get low and wrap.
Yes,
they don't need a red card. That is exactly the only way it could go wrong for England is with either a Faz hit like that, or as we said, Sinclair. If some of these guys seeing red losing for a minute, losing the plot, getting themselves carded, red carded would be the worst, and then suddenly you could be in an arm wrestle if all that happened. But with all going to plan, they'll just try and dominate them, force the loose box kick that's going to come their way, and then strike off the turnover. That's going to be England's picture. 100%. So with all that, what are your predictions?
Well, in terms of predictions, I'd given the day that's in it, I think you have to go by points difference. I think that's our guess.
You're not going for a home win? No, the home team? I'm not going for the home field advantage?
No. No, I don't think so. But in terms of how close do you think it's going to be, will England put this to bed from a French point of view? It's hard to know exactly how well they'll do. If everything clicks, obviously, great.
Yeah.
They didn't get their run out against the Barbarians. It's conceivable Italy do some stuff. It's conceivable Italy get a couple of tries.
Especially if England are loosely and going for tries, you could see even a pick or something.
Because the result that really would throw a spanner in the works is something like 52 to maybe 21, and then all of a sudden Ireland are win by 8 points. It's definitely a different one. And then even France are thinking if we can get a score going in the first half, maybe this will be on for us. Whereas if they do something like 63-10, it's game over. So I don't know which of those two it's going to be closest to. I'd say I'll give Italy 15 points, which is similar to what they got last week. We'll call them 5 3-pointers. No, say they'll kick 1 3-pointer stupidly at the start of the game like they did last week, and then get 2 tries. 1 unconverted, and they'll get 15 points. And then how many will England rack up? I'm going to say 50 is what Ireland did last week. I'm going to say 55. So 40-point win for England which would
That's
would mean Ireland would have to win by more than 17 or get the 4 tries, and France would have to win by 41.
Yeah.
That's a decent target that they'd have set if they do that.
Yeah,
do you want to take an over or under on that?
I'll take the under then. I'm going to be favouring the underdog with an under. I'm going to say they'll beat that 40-point spread. Just with a 39-point defeat. No. I'll say Italy will make it a scrap somehow, and England will be stupid at times and only win by 30 points and throw that spanner in the works for Super Saturday. That's what I'll say.
Okay, that's probably a more optimistic prediction.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching that video. If you're new here, please do like and subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when we upload again. But mainly, please drop a comment down below. We enjoy hearing your thoughts on it. Thanks.